Alright, today we're going to be doing an install on these shorty headers. They're by Hooker. They're the Blackheart edition. As you can see, we got a 6-cylinder. This is the 3.6 liter Camaro, 2010 and 11. This is the part number right here. And as far as I know, these are the only shorty headers that bolt on directly without any modifications, any kind of welding. Okay, I just went through the instructions, and the only issues that you're going to run into with this one is two AC lines. They have one they want you to bend about a ½ inch out of the way, and there's a bigger AC line they want you to heat wrap because they're going to be fairly close to the headers. Other than that, they should bolt right up. No modifications to the flanges like some of the other headers. I'm going to keep this video short and sweet. I'll show you guys what you have to do, and I'm going to give you my experience on replacing the stock headers on this V6 Camaro. First thing you want to do is take the heat shield off the manifolds. There's one on each side. There's 3 10mm bolts. I'm still removing the one on the passenger side. As you can see, there's 1, 2, and one's down below. Alright, I've already begun to take some of these bolts off the stock manifolds. The 2 flange bolts here, cake to take out. This one, the stud just happened to come out with the nut. Alright, that's easy to put back in. I'm starting with the lower screws to the block. They're a little bit hard to get to. The one furthest back, closest to the firewall, you have to get with a 13mm wrench, and you have to come in through the back side here, and you basically have to turn it a quarter turn at a time. There's no better way to do it. The whole flange, the whole lower pipe's in the way. You can't get a socket on it. To get some of these other bolts, you have to go underneath it with the extension and a 13 socket, and you can get to the other lower bolts just like that. You might see it in that little hole. You can get that other bolt there. There's 2 more underneath the manifold. This one's kind of covered up by the dipstick tube. Alright, so I got the driver's side header in. It was a bit more tighter of a fit than I thought it was initially. Kind of scratched it up a bit. Save yourself the headache and the time, and just take the dipstick out from the get-go, because it gets in the way with these new headers. And I scratched it up over there. It just pops out. There's an O-ring at the bottom, and make sure you grease it when you put it back in, so this way you don't tear it. I wrapped this with a heat wrap, a Velcro one that I had laying around in my garage. That's the one AC line. It comes fairly close to the header. Not as bad as this hard line down here. That's the line that they want you to bend out of the way. And it used to be right here in between the header and the frame. And it scratched my header up in the body, but I moved it. I took it off a couple clips it has at the bottom, and I was able to move it up. So I have about 1 inch now. Alright, I got the passenger side out. And when you look in your engine bay, you're going to say, there's no freaking way you're going to take it out of there. And that's what I came to find out. So I jacked the car up, and from underneath, there's plenty of room. And you can see I have them out here. They're pretty similar in design. The big difference is the port size. The tube's a lot bigger. So that's where you're going to see your performance gains. When you're taking it out from the bottom, make sure you take these 2 bolts and the top set of bolts out before you jack the car up, because you can't get to them from underneath. When you're underneath, you'll move the lower pipe with the cats out, and it should slide right out easy as cake. Okay, this is the passenger header. I have it in the car. This is the new one. I'm trying to show you that there's plenty of room underneath the car. It's a fairly small header. The only issues you're gonna have is the front lower bolt. It's in between the alternator. You just need like a ratcheting wrench or short 13mm socket with the ratchet, and you should be good. that lower pipe with the cat, I have it disconnected. I held it up with the jack stand. You don't want to let it hang on the wires, and should be good to go. You just gotta hook it up, new gasket, and we'll be ready to go. Alright, I got a little update on the exhaust video. I was having issues with the passenger side header. Looks like there's maybe a defect in the flange for the manifold, and so for some reason it routes the downpipe in a bad angle, and it pushes it too far out towards the side. To even get your factory exhaust lined up, big issue. I had to put like several pry bars in here, and what that did, it created a large leak. I had it running like that for a couple weeks. I had to take it to an exhaust shop. So what they did to fix that is they cut a little section, maybe an inch, of the exhaust, to move it this way, and they welded it back up. And they took a look at the gasket at the top of the manifold, and they put some silicone and they reattached it. But they had to modify my factory exhaust to make that hooker header fit it. Once they did that, I had another issue. Clearance. Once they moved this pipe over pretty close to the this is the trans cross member. As you can see, very close to the bolts. I had to change the bolts. These are the stock bolts. They have really high heads, tall heads, and they were making crazy noise against the exhaust. I went to Home Depot, got these these bolts, short heads, and I kind of bashed it in with a hammer and a grinder a little bit, gave me extra room. You can see that's kind of tight. So several hours later, several dollars later, I got the exhaust fixed, in fully, 100% running, and I'll get you an exhaust clip in a minute. Alright, this is about a month later. This is my little summary, my little report after a month of driving. I'll give you a little rev video of it. My recap is, if you were paying attention, the driver's side comes out of the top. Take the dipstick out, move everything that's in the way, like I have the strut bar, and it comes out of the top easy. The passenger side comes out of the bottom. Okay? Just lower the lower exhaust pipe, have the catch, and that's about it. I didn't really see much of a difference in horsepower, you know, at the seat of my pants, but I changed the tone of the exhaust a little bit. More of a, you know, rumble, like a deeper sound. So I'm gonna give you a little exhaust clip. Sorry, I lost my my before clips. I changed, got a new phone, lost all my videos. Exhaust rev video. Oh, the windows are shut. So yeah, Hooker or Holly, whoever made these headers, I know they're Hooker Black Arts. They said that there's about a 23 to 24 horsepower gain. I'm not sure if that's after tune or what. I don't have a tune. And from the butt of your pants dyno, your butt dyno, as people like to call it, I didn't really feel much of a horsepower gain or nothing. Maybe such a small amount that you can't really tell. Also a reminder that these only come in raw finish. Stainless steel. I had mine ceramic coated before I put them in, so don't believe that yours are going to come black unless you did the same thing I did. That's about it. It's pretty easy to install. Difficulty 0 to 10, I'd probably say maybe 5 or 6-ish. I have experience. I was a mechanic for 4 years, so if you don't have any mechanical experience, don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. You do need a couple set of tools, you know, wrenches, sockets, but it's you could do it yourself. I did have to pay another mechanic with a welder to correct the little issue I was having. If you noticed that in the video, I kind of stated that I was having issues with the lower pipe lining up with the manifold itself. Only on the passenger side was I having this issue. Looked like the manufacturer hooker, whoever made the headers, kind of angled the lower flange off. You know, they made it a little wrong. So my lower exhaust pipe had to be modified to line up perfect. That was causing a large exhaust leak. It eventually actually threw off a check engine light, so I had to have it fixed. There's no other choice. Yeah, so they say no modifications required. I had to do it. I mean, maybe it was just me. Maybe you have better luck. But that's it. That's my review. Let me know. Like, share, comment, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Thanks.